Gnome Hollow, coming to us from the op. Here is your design and art team. And then let's go ahead and tip this up. Here is your contents. 12 and up, 2 to 4 players, 45 minutes. Boop. Place tiles to expand the garden. Move your gnome. Complete rings. Collect the most treasure to win. Welcome to Gnome Hollow. When the last snows have melted away and the earth is rich with spring energies, the veil between worlds is at its thinnest. For meadow gnomes, this is a joyous time where they can truly enjoy the blooming meadows and frolic with the creatures of the forest. Players take on the role of a pair of gnomes to become the humble caretakers of nature. Gnomes compete in the Hollow Harvest to grow a tabletop garden of mushrooms and flowers, collect rewards, and strategically outplay their opponents. Alright, let's see what is inside this one. Alright, here is Gnome Hollow. What is inside? Gnome Hollow, a field guide. This is the bigger one, so let's kind of get that flat. So your game objective, all of your components, some more backstory, more components, your setup, all in here, the 2-player in game setup, meet the gnomes. There we go. Gameplay overview, place tiles, resolve, move a gnome. Seems simple enough. Place tiles. There's all that. Resolve. Move a gnome. Where all the different things you can do when you move a gnome. The game end conditions. Scoring. Breakdown of a cascading turn. Variant play options. The advanced player board. Mushroom guide. Alright, remember these names because these are the mushrooms that are in the game and I'm not going to remember them. So there's those. So a little more backstory. Then you have your flower guide, the tile reference, symbol guide, and turn sequence. Alrighty, let's get this board back over here. You have your player boards. There's that advanced side. So you have Holly and Poppy, Sour Jack and Sweet Jane, Gourd and Peanut, Betty and Beatrice. Here is its, I believe it's the, was it the Pinwheel Market board? Here is that tile offering board, the Stump. I do not remember the name of the board. The signpost board? It's got signpost on it, so we'll call it the signpost board. Here is your first player marker. Here's those Pinwheel Market tokens. Here are your flower parts, your wildflowers. Those will go, if I remember correctly, up here into the slots on top of your board. Then you have the sunset tile, and you have the wildflower tiles. Alright, let's get those back in there, because I don't want to, actually think, no, that doesn't look, is that the hat? No, I like putting the hat right there. I think that's these, so we'll get those put back in there while we're at it, because I'm going to be making a mess here soon. So here are your gnome figures, nice thick wood pieces. And then here are your player pieces for your board, and I need to show you this, because this really sold us on the game and made us want it even more, besides just the theme and the gameplay. Are you ready? And they are magnetic with the metal in here. So if you bump the table, nothing happens to your pieces. So these are all magnetic pieces. Boop, boop. As you can see, really durable. Really strong pieces. So those are the magnetic pieces. You have player aid tiles. You have your various point tokens, your treasure. I separated my 1s and 2s, seeing as they're so close, so it'll be easier to put out on the table that way. Here are those mushrooms. I think there's like a bearded redcap, lemon scented something, I believe. And then I don't remember. That's why I told you to remember. So hopefully you did. They do sell a upgrade kit for this, where you can upgrade a bunch of these things to wood bits. Although there are already some wood bits, like these signposts are nice and thick wood chunky. And now that mess I was talking about. Let me get all that moved. Let me grab this big old bag. And it is a big old bag, and I really enjoy that fact. But I apparently tied it up pretty tight. Ugh. So as you can see, my hand fits in nice. It's got a lot of stuff in it, so you can easily dig around in there. But this contains, I think it's 92 tiles. It's a lot of tiles. But they are double-sided. So featuring various different mushrooms and the like. Alright, so that was what was inside Gnome Hollow. Let me show you how it plays. Alright, we are set up for a 2-player game of Gnome Hollow. The only difference there is in relation to the Wildflower Tiles and those flowers up there, which I'll get into when I talk about setup. So, you're going to have the pinwheel market board, the tile offering. You're going to put 8 tiles on that board. You're going to draw 2 tiles per player and put them under the sunset tile. You're going to have the signpost up there. You have your treasure tokens. You have your mushroom tokens as a general supply. You have these market block off tokens on the mushrooms that they belong to. And then you'll notice we have 2 sets of flowers up here. That is the 2-player difference when you set this up, is instead of having 8 wildflower tiles here, you have 6. And then the 2 that you do not have here, you put up there in the flower market. The stump goes in the middle of the board so everyone can access it. Each person grabs a player board, their markers, their 2 gnomes, a player aid that's got the turn sequence on one side, symbol guide on the other. And the last person to win Gnome Hollow, or whoever taught the game, becomes the first player. I always teach the games, so I will for sure be the first player. And then you have the bag of tiles off to the side so anyone can grab it. So, to play your turn sequence is thus. You are going to place tiles. You're going to choose 2 tiles from this display and put them into the central area, connecting them either to the stump or a previous tile. So let's go and let's grab this guy and let's grab this guy. So when you place them, your white paths need to match up and grass paths need to match up. This is not valid because you have this path coming up here into grass. This is fine because the white path is going and it's on grass. But again, this one would not be because this is going into there and that's going into there. So once you place your tiles, so we'll say right there and right there. The other rule that comes when laying tiles is if the tile you laid would extend a ring that another gnome has claimed, you need to get their permission before you are allowed to place it. One last part is you are not allowed to place a tile that would connect 2 rings that are claimed by 2 gnomes. In addition to placing the 2 tiles from there, if you have any tiles in storage, you are allowed to place them as well. You are then going to see if you have completed a ring. I will complete a ring so I can show you this process. Alright, so we have completed this ring. As you'll see, it's completely encompassed. Then you're going to immediately do 2 things. If you have a gnome on the ring, so if I had previously placed a gnome on here, I would collect the mushrooms. So there's a purple, there's a pink, there's a yellow, and there is a blue. There, and there. So I would take those mushrooms. Next, if I had a gnome on the path, or if it was unclaimed and there was no gnome on the path, in which instance these mushrooms would just kind of get placed there. So again, if it's not claimed, or if I have a gnome there, I am going to take my ring, my first ring marker here, and I'm going to place it on the size ring that I just made. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can place it on any of these spots in the 5. The stump tile counts as 1, and you only count tiles when it goes through them once. So if I went through the stump tile multiple times, it still only counts as 1, not for every time it goes through. Same thing with the tiles. If I go through a tile twice, it is still only once. I then would take this and put it on one of these spots. In 5, 6, and 7, I get bonuses. In 3 and 4, I do not. If I have already filled up a row, so if my 4 is filled and I get another 4, I just don't place a marker, but I do get the mushrooms. If I complete a ring of a different player has claimed, I do not get a ring marker, I do not get mushrooms. Instead, you would lay their gnome down, and they would score it at the beginning of their turn. So your player board, the different actions you can trigger. So we're going to keep this as my example of me completing this ring. The first thing I can do is I can place a signpost and then get the benefit of it. So I could grab this signpost, put it there, and then I would immediately grab 2 blue mushrooms. Your signposts do a variety of things. You also, instead, can do the signpost action of any other signpost in play without having to move your gnome to visit it. This next one down here that shows the hex that's when you can take a tile from here and put it into your storage. You can have, at most, 2 tiles in storage. If you'd ever have more than 2, you'll take the third one and discard until you have 2 tiles. This next one down here would be take a flower token. You'll grab a flower token from the flower market you don't previously have on top of your board. You can grab it and just place it at the top of your board like so. This action down here under the 6 that shows the 2 mushrooms is you can take more of a harvest from where you are at. So again, using this as an example, if I get 2 more, I can grab a pink and a yellow, but I can't grab 2 yellow because there's only 1 yellow showing. In the 7, if you put one there, you will immediately put a second one on these top 2 instances and then trigger the effects underneath, which are just better versions of the ones to the left. So after you've resolved gaining mushrooms, any ring marker bonuses, and cascading effects of possibly having something trigger something else that you can do, you then are going to move a gnome. This is optional. You need to move a gnome, though, in order to take an action. You cannot do an action and just leave the gnome where they are at. So there are 4 different actions. You can claim a path. So seeing as this one already scored, I can take my gnome and I can claim this path, so where if it fulfills in the future, I can get those mushrooms. If there's a completed ring, I can claim that one and then get the mushrooms that are there. You can come up here to the flower market and just take a flower you don't already have and put it in your next slot. You can put yourself at one of the signposts and do the action of a previously placed signpost. So again, this one would give me 2 blue mushrooms. The final actions you can sell to market. You put yourself on the stump. It's got the pinwheel. You'll see the pinwheel up here. You're going to visit the market. Always available is selling 2 mushrooms for those denoted prices. Otherwise, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 5 blue mushrooms. I can sell my 5 blue mushrooms. Look across here, 5 blue gives me 7 points. We then block this off for future use. We take 3, 6, and 7. You can sell 2 different times, but they must be different mushrooms. I couldn't have done a 3 mushroom and a 2 mushroom. Once you're done with that, you're going to make sure the board was refilled earlier after you took the tiles. And then it goes to the next player's turn. You're going to go playing back and forth until someone has collected 8 flowers, has placed their 8 ring markers, or the bag has run out of tiles. You are going to then take the 4 tiles from underneath the sunset tile, put them in the bag. You're going to finish out the current round, and then everyone's going to be able to take 1 gnome action, again having to make sure you move your gnome to take the action. Your endgame points are going to be how much treasure you have accumulated, the rightmost flower, so right now I'd be getting 3 points, and then the point value shown above the rightmost ring marker. So in this instance, 14 points. Most points wins. First, or the tiebreaker is having the most unsold mushrooms. One rule I forgot to cover is those wildflower tokens. When you remove your 2nd, 4th, and 6th, you'll grab one of the wildflower tokens, put the wildflower above your board, put the other one in the market, and this goes to your reserve. You can place these out when you place the up to 2 stored tiles when you place tiles, and these count as wild and can connect to any side, so you can put it there. So that is how you get the Wildflower Tiles. So that is how you play Gnome Hollow. Hope you enjoyed. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell down below. That would be appreciated. So until next time, get out hunting those wee folk.